Hi, welcome to Foreigner in the Philippines. In one of our very recent books that we were allowed to open came from Mr. and Mrs. O, because it was all for presents that they had sent and gathered for the extended family that we have, which you will be well familiar with. Lena and her daughter Talik, the two boys, and let me see, and Bibi, famous Bibi, beautiful Bibi. And so one of the presents was for me, and it was a collection of books. And the collection of books, I already read out what that collection was. It was about 5 or 6 books. One was the Book of Wisdom, something that I should be devouring, shouldn't I, into hope. Anyway, I will be starting that fairly soon. I think I've read a few pages. But what I did get engrossed in, just wanted to discuss with you, was that there's a book called, it's a famous best-selling book, and it's a success story in many ways as well. It's called The Alchemist, and I'm sure probably I'm the ignorant one here. You have all probably read it, all 110,000 of you. But anyway, it's a bestseller, and this was a book that when the author first tried, as in so many cases with books that become bestsellers, it was touted around and couldn't get a look in. Nobody was interested. The author was very disappointed, and it was only when he met somebody else who had read the book and said, "No, this is a book that should be read." It says, and this is a 1 million copy bestseller now. But anyway, the man's name, and in my ignorance, I had not heard of this man, and his name is Paulo. It might be Paulo, the way that it's pronounced, because he's Brazilian. And then it's Coelho, Paulo Coelho, but it's Coelho. So could be, I think it's Coelho, Paulo Coelho. And he is, let me look at the back here. Paulo Coelho, born in Rio de Janeiro in 1947. He is one of the best-selling and most influential authors in the world. Now that I didn't know. The Alchemist, Aleph, Brida, The Pilgrimage, The Valkyries, Veronica Decides to Die, 11 Minutes, The Zahir, The Witch of Portobello, and The Winner Stands Alone, among others, have sold over 135 million copies in more than 168 countries, and have been translated into 73 languages. Now that is something. That's one heck of a success story. Well, looking through it, this is the book that I'm now reading. I read The Alchemist, and I read it from cover to cover in probably about 3 goes, because I usually go to sleep at night, and I like to read something before I go, in the hope that I digest it when I'm sleeping and actually make a change in myself. But when I was this one, I'm waffling away, sorry about that, but this one, it's called The Warrior of Light, and on the back it says, "The warrior knows that he is free to choose his desires, and he makes these decisions with courage, detachment, and sometimes with just a touch of madness." I like that. Coelho's books have had a life-enchanting impact on millions of people. That was the Times of London. Now, even though purists, there are people who are purists when it comes to books and how sacred they are, and they leaf through them, and they're kept in perfect, pristine condition. And I'm not like that. And when I see something, I turn the corner down so that I'll come back and read it again. And I always say that that's the greatest compliment that you can pay to an author, is that you go back and read something again, just for the sheer joy of reading it. And I tend to, when it really gets down to it, I tend to read out loud. Right. But now, I don't know why I've earmarked this. I've earmarked this on page 37. Okay. Everything is beautifully laid out in this book. And it says on the front, Warrior of the Light, a manual. In other words, this is to help you change your behavior for the better. And the page that, as I say, page 37 is the one that I wanted to read. The Warrior of Light knows when the enemy is stronger. If he decides to confront him, he will be destroyed instantly. If he responds to his provocations, he will fall into a trap. So, he uses diplomacy to resolve the difficult situation in which he finds himself. When the enemy behaves childishly, he does the same. When he challenges him to a fight, he pretends not to understand. His friends say he's a coward. But the warrior pays no attention, because he knows that all the rage and courage of a little bird are as nothing to a cat. In such situations, the warrior remains patient. The enemy will soon go off in search of others to provoke. Now, for some reason, which maybe you can work out, that meant something to me. Let's look through, if I may, take you through a bum's rush. A bum's rush through the book. Oh gosh, I've got 3 pages in a row here that I liked. If the Warrior of Light never forgets the old saying, the good little goat doesn't bleat. Injustices happen. Everyone finds themselves in situations they do not deserve. Usually when they are unable to defend themselves, defeat often knocks at the warrior's door. At such times he remains silent. He does not waste energy on words, because they can do nothing. He knows it is best to use his strength to resist and have patience, knowing that someone is watching, someone who saw the unnecessary suffering and who will not accept it. That someone, and that's with a capital S, that someone gives him what he needs most: time. Sooner or later everything will once more work in his favour. A warrior of the light is wise. He does not talk about his defeats. And the next one. As I say, I'm almost at the end of this book, so I've forgotten what these earmarks are for. So they're almost as fresh to me. A warrior of the light is always vigilant. He does not ask anyone else for permission to wield his sword. He simply takes it in his hands. Nor does he waste time explaining his actions. Faithful to God's decisions, he gives his answer in what he does. In other words, actions speak louder than words. He looks to either side of him and identifies his friends. He looks behind him and identifies his opponents. He is implacable with treachery, but he does not seek revenge. He merely drives away the enemies of his life, never fighting with them any longer than is necessary. A warrior does not try to appear one way or the other. He simply is. Very profound stuff, this, for me. Here's the next one. At the beginning of his struggle, the warrior of the light states, "I have dreams." After some years, he realizes that it is actually possible to reach his goal. He knows that he will be rewarded. At that moment, he feels sad. He knows about other people's unhappiness, about the loneliness and frustration experienced by so much of humanity, and he does not believe that he deserves what he is about to receive. His angel whispers, "Give it all up." The warrior kneels down and offers God his conquests. That act of surrender forces the warrior to stop asking foolish questions and helps him to overcome his feelings of guilt. This is one clever man, the author that is. Again, this is new to me too. Jesus said, "Let your yea be yea, and your nay, nay." I'll have to read this to Beth, I think. When the warrior takes on a commitment, he keeps his word. Those who make promises they do not keep lose their self-respect and feel ashamed of their actions. These people spend their lives in constant flight. They expend far more energy on coming up with a series of excuses to take back what they said than the warrior of light does in honoring his commitments. Now let me read that again. They expend far more energy on coming up with a series of excuses to take back what they said than the warrior of light does in honoring his commitments. Sometimes he too takes on a foolish commitment which will in some way harm him. He does not repeat this mistake, but he nevertheless keeps his word and pays the price for his own impulsiveness. And I'm almost at the end now, so that's it. It's called The Warrior of Light, Paolo Coelho, and it is a brilliant book. Perhaps you'll go out and buy it and tell me how it changes you. This has already changed me. I'm open for change. I seek change. I really am trying. Maybe because I'm at that point in my life where I need to make some changes fairly quickly. Thanks for looking in. This is A Foreigner in the Philippines. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Bye for now.